Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Monir El Azzouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today I wanted to make you a recipe, maybe a Christmas recipe, on how to get certified for MDR. This is also applicable for IVDR, but let's take MDR as a focus because all what I will say today, you do the same for IVDR and you arrive to the same results. So the objective of today is also to answer questions that I get from a lot of my customers that are, when they are calling me or sending me an email, they are asking me, oh, how can I get certified? What are the different process steps, if I can say, to follow? So like a cooking recipe, if I can say. So the objective of today is really to go through that, to show you step by step. There will be a lot of shortcuts because we have just 30 minutes, if I can say, to do that. But the idea here is to give you as much information as possible so that you can learn, or you can have already an overview of how to get to this final process, with some tips also, with some good advices here. So I remind you also that we are end of 2021, so December 2021, and also that the MDR has passed the date of the 26th of May 2021, which means that the date of application of MDR already passed. So now we are in the middle of it, means that we have some manufacturers that have to apply MDR by the 26th of May 2021. And we have some others that are under a transition period, which means that they can wait until a certain date, which is the expiration of their certificate, or which is the 26th of May 2024, to then get EU MDR certified. And we'll try to cover also those aspects on this podcast. Okay, so let's start first with the first step. So when you are a medical device manufacturer, which means that you are or manufacturing a medical device, an accessory to a medical device, or an Annex 16 product, which is a non-medical product, and you can see the list on the Annex 16 of the EU MDR, then you have to apply all those rules. The first rule for any manufacturer, you have to have a quality management system. So if you are a class 1 device, you can have a quality management system, but it's not certified by a notified body or by anybody, but you have to have one available where there is procedures that are really important. If you are not a class 1, so class 1R, class 1M, S, 2A, 2B, or 3, then you have to have a quality management system the same, but this one has to be certified. It should not be certified by anyone, it should be certified by your notified body. So you should not contact a certification body that is not a notified body for that. So your notified body, the one that will also audit your products, will have to verify that your quality management system is done, is working correctly. So you have the standard ISO 13485 that you can follow, but I may say you have to follow because mainly this is the main standard that can show you a good structure of a quality management system for a medical device company. You can use that. For class 1 devices, I ask you also to use it, but as I've said, there is no need for certification, but it's good to use that also. Also for class 1 devices, it doesn't mean that you should not get certified for your quality management system, but it's a good practice to get certified, because then you have somebody else that tells you where you are good or bad, or maybe what you have maybe wrongly applied. Because when you are not used to have a quality management system, I can understand that it can be difficult sometimes. So having a certification is also a good marketing tool, just to show that you are certified for ISO 13485. So you are also having a system that is providing quality documentation there. Okay, so then you have this situation where you need a quality management system, and under the EU MDR there is the Article 120 Part 3, which provides some rules in terms of the transition period. So you have, as I've said, some manufacturers that have to get certified by the 26th of May 2021, and you have others that can still continue under the MDD until a certain date. But there is also some rules that are defined, which is that you have to update some of your procedures from your quality management system. And I insist that it's critical that you do that. We have already had some manufacturers that contacted us because they say, oh, we got a major non-conformance from our notified body. Even if they were coming to audit them under MDD, not MDR, we had a major non-conformance because we haven't followed the Article 120 Part 3, which shows some procedures that should be complying with EU MDR. So the first procedure is the registration of economic operator. Usually what I'm asking people is to create a regulatory compliance procedure where you have to mention all the regulatory strategy for your product. And then inside you mention a paragraph specifically for registration of economic operators, so how you are applying the rules that are defined under MDR. Then the second one is the vigilance reporting. So normally, even under MDD, you had the vigilance reporting, but the rules have changed with MDR. So you have also to include the vigilance reporting parameters that are mentioned under the MDR on your procedure. So you just take your procedure and you update all what is related to the vigilance following the article from the MDR. And then the last one is post-marketing surveillance and market surveillance, which is more dedicated to the competent authorities. So post-marketing surveillance should also be updated because there is some new elements there, like the proactive activities. So you have proactively to go to the market to identify that your product is safe and performant. So then you have to include that now on your procedure. Also the fact that to mention the PSUR, Periodic Safety Update Report, which is the new name for the post-marketing surveillance report. So all this should be updated. If you don't do that, the notified body has the right to provide you a major non-conformance, but I reassure you, this is easy to change. We have done that with many manufacturers. So you have to put a plan, you have to update your procedure, and it's not something that is really difficult to do. So do it before the audit, it's better. So if you know that you'll have an audit soon and you have still not updated those procedures, update them immediately so that you are compliant, if I can say, to this regulation. Okay, so normally when you have your quality management system, then you are ready. If you have never contacted your notified body before, you are ready to maybe contact your notified body so that they can audit you only for the stage 1 audit, which is mainly about the quality management system, to have a first contact with notified body, to engage them for this first step, because it's really important that you are getting in contact with them so that you can plan for all the next steps. What does it mean? It means that you should not wait that you arrive to finalize everything within your documentation, then to apply to the notified body. You should do that prior to finalizing maybe everything, to save some time, because even when you will send the information to the notified body, it can take some time, and we'll talk about that just after. Okay, you have your quality management system, everything is fine, you even maybe pass the stage 1 audit, or maybe you are in progress to do that. In the meantime, in parallel also, you can also start to work on your product documentation. So you have Annex 2 and Annex 3 of the EU MDR, that is describing how you have to provide information to the notified body about your technical documentation. So you are usually following Annex 9, which is describing all the information that the notified body should receive. And there, on the Annex 2 and Annex 3, it describes exactly what are the different chapters that should be on your technical file. We have some templates on our shop, so if you want to get that, which are specifically for EU MDR, so you can get that and you can then fill those templates, and this is the template that you will be using. This is only templates. All the secrets are not mentioned inside, because you are the one that knows the secrets for your product, so you are the one that knows which information should be provided. So usually when a company comes to me and say, oh, can you create also our technical file? First, I ask them, do you have a risk management file? Do you have a clinical evaluation report? Do you have your IFUs, instruction for use? Do you have your labels? Do you have all those documents? Because there is a ton of documents to create before. And they all say no. So I say, if you don't have that, I cannot create your technical file, because the technical file is just a puzzle. I just pick all the pieces of the puzzle and put them inside. So I need to understand all those documents, and then with those documents I will pick the information that are needed so that I can fill the technical file to prove to a notified body that yes, I am complying with those elements on the regulation. And one of the first elements that I'm asking you to go for is the GSPR, General Safety and Performance Requirements. This is the Annex 1 of the EU MDR, and it lists 23 requirements that you have to follow in 3 chapters. And if you have already followed all that or provided some proofs of that, yeah, 70 to 80% of your technical file is ready. Then the last percent are more about how you are placing the different pieces of the puzzle so that it's logic and flowing correctly for an assessor. The elements, for example, that are needed for technical documentation are the clinical information, clinical data. Even if you are class 1, even if you are a low-risk device, you have to have a clinical evaluation report. The clinical evaluation report is mainly a document that is proving safety and performance of your device. So meaning that your product can be safely provided to a patient, a user, and that the claims that you are placing maybe on the box, my device can do this, my device can do that, etc. All the marketing claims also, they are backed up by some literature search, by some clinical data, by some clinical investigation, by some documentation to prove that what you are saying is true, if I can say. So mainly this is what we are trying to do. So in comparison to the MDD or to the previous rules, the clinical evaluation report should be done in 2 documents, minimum. The first one is the clinical evaluation plan, which is mainly the document that is explaining how you will do this clinical evaluation research report. Then you do your research, you gather literatures, etc., and then you create your clinical evaluation report. And as I've told you, the inputs can be some clinical data of your device, clinical investigation, for example, but can be also some clinical data from equivalent devices. And this is something that is really important to understand. Not all products can be equivalent one to the other. So you have to prove that your product is equivalent to another device. But why you do that? You do that because maybe the other device has some literatures about safety and performance. So if you can prove equivalence of your device to this device, this means also that the literatures that this device has can be used for your device. And this is, if I can say, the gymnastic or the thing that you have to understand. Don't try to use equivalence for a product that has no data, nothing, because then it will be a bit weird. So each time we are using equivalence with the clinical evaluation report, we always had notified bodies that contacted us with questions, etc. So we were able to answer those questions, but it is always a difficult time when you have to prove equivalence. Equivalence is not something that is easy to prove, so you have really to have good arguments for that, because notified bodies will come back to you for that. And remember, if notified body doesn't accept your equivalence, then all the clinical data that you used to prove equivalence with this device should be removed from your clinical evaluation documentation. And this can maybe put everything down because you have maybe nothing else. And then the only choice is to initiate a clinical investigation. Okay, so to input also your clinical evaluation documentation, the risk management documentation is important. So what are the risks of using this device? And for that, you can go for the ISO 14971 and also a complementary standard, which is the IEC 62366, which is about usability. Those are really complementary. One is more focused on the full life cycle of the products. The other is specifically focused on the usability. So how a user, a patient can use the products and what are the mistakes maybe that they are doing. So you have that. It gives some inputs data to then look for some literature, some documentation, some proof that your device is still safe about that. You have also the part related to benefit risks ratio. So mainly you have to prove that even if there are some risks, because we cannot reduce the risk at zero, even if you have some risks, the benefits are higher. I can get an infection, but if I don't use this device, I will die. I can get maybe some burns on my skin, but if I don't use this infection, I will have a worse disease, etc., etc., etc. So this is mainly the thing that you have to evaluate to show that the benefit is higher than the risk. And at the end, you have also to provide an answer in terms of the fact that first, yes, your device is safe and performant, but also, do you need a post-marketing clinical follow-up? This is the next step. So this is something that is demanded by the EU MDR. You have for sure for every device to create a PMCF plan, not the PMCF study, the PMCF plan, which will say, do I need a PMCF study or not? How can I gather data from the market? What are the justifications that I don't need a PMCF study, etc., etc. If you don't need a PMCF study, then you can move forward with it. If you need a PMCF study, then you have to initiate a PMCF study where you will gather information from your device that is used. So the device will be used as is, means certified. So it means that you are selling this device to multiple hospitals. You can test the device that are used in those hospitals only on the indication that you define. You should only test them on what they have been certified for. So here, if I can say, is the bubble for the clinical evaluation. Then out of that, you have all about design, about testing, about manufacturing, also about labels that we are using, instruction for use. For example, every version of the labels or instruction for use should be also listed and available. The languages should be the languages of the member state where you are sending the device. If you are sending like in Italy, in Germany, in France, every languages should be there also. So this is also something that can take create a lot of documentation there also. So then you have all those information that are created, and then we can start to create the technical documentation. We can start to build all those files together. As I've said, you follow Annex 2 and Annex 3 and you just fill all those information there. Plus, you add in annexes of your technical documentation all the document like the clinical evaluation report, the clinical evaluation plan, the risk management file. All those documents should be available in annex of the technical file. Means that the notified body, when they will review your technical documentation, you will mention, oh, this is mentioned on the risk management file, this and that. They want to see it. It's not like they will just see the reference and say it's fine. No, they want to see it. So having that in annex is something important. So we have also to do that, making those links between what is required on the technical documentation and the attached document that should be also available for your notified body. Okay, so we have built the quality management system, we have the technical file, and we have now then maybe also to send an application to a notified body before we finalize all those things. One element that is also critical for you is the PLRC, person responsible for regulatory compliance. This person, even during the transition period, you need this person within your organization. So before you have an auditor that comes to your organization, you have to appoint a person as a PLRC for your organization. So there is two options. Option one, this person has a diploma in science, in law, in medicine, or in software, if it's software that you are developing, plus 1 year of experience in quality and regulatory affairs for medical devices. Not for pharmaceutical, not for aesthetic, not for cosmetic, not for automotive, not for spaceship. No, only medical devices. The second option is that you have a person that has no diploma, but they have 4 years of experience in quality and or regulatory affairs for medical devices. Again, medical devices, nothing else. Then this person can be qualified. What I'm advising you, because I have a lot of manufacturers that don't do that, I advise you to have the CEO or the manager of the company to create a letter of appointment. Letter of appointment say, I certify that I designated this person as the PLRC for my organization, and they have to follow this job description, they have to do this and that, etc. and they report to me. So this is one. Second is the job description. What exactly is the role and responsibility for this person? And third is the org chart. So have the name of the person, the org chart, and the mentioned PLRC for the organization. And you can have multiple PLRC for a same organization. So, and it's mainly advised, because if this PLRC goes on holiday, then who is staying, if I can say, to be able to answer any request. So you have to have some kind of deputy, like what we have in the pharma industry also. Okay, you have all this then you contact your notified body. You maybe already had a stage 1 audit, maybe now it will be a stage 2. When you send the application to notified body, they can take 2 to 3 months to answer to you, to provide you the final date for the audit. Why? Because they have to find the assessor, they have to make it match with your product, etc. So it's not like an easy process, and they have to find then the date when they can get you audited. So this is mainly something that can take a bit of time, like 2 to 3 months. Then you get an audit date, maybe 3-4 months after. So in the meantime, as I've said, you see here that you have already some months to wait. It means that you should not wait to finalize all your documentation to send the application. You can do that, if I can say, if you have maybe reached 70% of your project, then you can start to send an application, knowing that there will be some time before they are really providing you with a date. Then you have your date. You are training your people to everything so that they are ready to answer to an auditor. When you have your date, the process is already starting, because they are asking you to send them the technical documentation, an off-site review. So they are looking at, the assessor will start to look at your documentation. They will maybe have some questions. So a morning you will wake up and go to the office and see an email from your notified body saying, I don't understand this. Can you clarify that? This seems not correct, blah, blah. They will have maybe a bunch of questions. You'll have to answer that. Answer it as soon as possible. Don't wait few weeks to that. Try to put really some invest some resources there so that they can really answer those questions quickly, because if you don't answer that, your process is blocked, and maybe you will miss this audit date, or you will miss, if I can say, some deadlines here. So then when you have answered all the questions from the assessors, the assessor will also talk to the auditor that will come to audit you on site. So they will talk together to say, oh, I find this, I find that, can you check this, can you check that, etc. So don't think that it's a separate process. It's a team working together. The auditor will arrive to your place, will audit you, will ask you questions, show me this procedure, show me the proof of that, show me how you are manufacturing. Yes, the manufacturing is corresponding to what you have told us. These certificates are good, or this one is not good, or that asking you a lot of questions about that. And don't think it will be an easy process. It's really a really difficult process. So then after that, you have to understand also one thing. If you are not the manufacturer, means if you are not manufacturing, you are still the legal manufacturer, but you are not manufacturing the product because you have a subcontractor for that, like a company in China, in India, in the US, in whatever. This company, even in Europe, I'm outside of Europe, but here in Europe, and this is a subcontractor, and we call him like a critical supplier, because he's doing all about your device. You are maybe just designing it and you send the drawings to him and he has to do everything. Then he is a critical supplier because he's doing the main part of the device. Then the notified body has also to audit this company. So they will have to go to this supplier to audit him and to verify that he's doing things correctly. So prior to that, you have to have in your agreement with your subcontractor the fact that they can be audited by your notified body and that they have to open the doors for it, etc., etc. If you don't have that, don't choose this subcontractor, because if they cannot enter, if they cannot see, if the auditors cannot enter and see the products, how it's manufactured, then they will never give you a certificate. So it's mainly a bit a problem for you. So have that available and inform your subcontractor that for sure a notified body will come and audit you. So prior to the notified body goes to audit them, may be good for you to go and to make a mock inspection to verify everything is in place, because your certificate is on the balance here. So you have really to make things happen for you. Okay, so now the audit is done and you think it's over. No, it's not over. It's never over. Usually, in a lot of chances, you can maybe have no observation, but usually you get some observations. Some minor observation or major observations, and the notified body is expecting within maybe 15 days, so that you are providing a plan on how to solve those observations, and maybe they ask you to solve them before they can classify you or give you a certificate. So then you receive these non-conformances. You are working with your team, define a plan on how to do that, and then you are providing them with your plan. And if they accept your plan, they can maybe say, okay, we will wait for this to be done, and maybe that we can check that during the next inspection that we'll do with you. So you'll have to finalize all that. And if you have respected the plan for what they have said, they can then give a favorable decision for your certification. This doesn't mean that you are certified. This means that they will give a favorable decision. It means that the notified body has also an internal process, a separated independent process, a commission that is checking all the work that was done, all the inspection, all the audit, etc. And then this commission will say, yes, we are giving you a certificate to this company. So don't think that after they say to you, oh, we are fine now, it means that you are certified. No, there is still a process where it can take maybe 2 to 3 months before the commission is providing you the approval, and then it can take maybe 1 or 2 months so that you can get your final certificate available. So you see here, from the beginning to the end, when you get certified, it can take a lot of time. It's not like a small process, it's really a big process, and everything will be checked. So it's really something that you have to understand. And one thing that you also have to understand, because a lot of companies didn't understood that, as soon as you start this process, you will be audited every year. So every year, and nearly at the same period, you will be audited. So it means that the first audit is for the certification, surveillance audit 1, then they will come and audit you, surveillance audit 2, they'll come and audit you, surveillance audit 3, it's mainly the recertification. So they will come and check that everything is correct and recertify you, because your certificate has an expiration date. So it means that they have to come to recertify you and then to provide you a new certificate with a new expiration date, etc. So as soon as you start this process, they are always here coming and auditing you. It means also that you should be well disciplined, if I can say, to have your people, your company, your employees that are following your quality management system at every stage of the process, and also when you are not audited. Meaning that when you will get audited again the following year, you should not, like what I see with a lot of companies, the previous month before the auditor arrive, we are cleaning everything, we are checking documentation, we are retraining people, we are telling them again, oh, you were doing that, but you should have done that, etc. So meaning that we are just operating a quality management system only to pass an audit. I know this is a lot of companies that are doing that, but it costs a lot of money, it's a risky process. So the idea here is to say, have your people complying to the quality management system and the rules at every moment. It will cost you less, and people will be doing what they need to do at each step. And this is mainly my advice, but yeah, we'll see that. So here is what I wanted to say to you in terms of the process to get certified from A to Z. It's, as I've said, a long process, and it's something where you have really to be disciplined, and you have to understand that a notified body is here really to verify that you are following the process. So there is no kind of negotiation here. It's more like I'm checking, is it here? Yes, no, etc., etc. You still have to argument, because you are still the expert of your product. So you have to argument about the fact that no, your product cannot do this or cannot do that because of this argument. So you are still the expert, but the notified body will really challenge you for that. So quality management system, technical file with clinical evaluation, documentation, design, manufacturing, verification, labeling, and the PLRC that should be there, then the auditor notified body that should be coming to audit you, off-site audit with on-site audit, and then certification, and then, as I've said, annual audit that will come to verify what you are doing. So this is mainly the recipe that you have to follow. So if you have some questions about what I discussed today with you, if you have still some maybe black points or things that you say, oh, I still don't understand this part, don't hesitate. You can contact me at info@easymedicaldevice.com, info@easymedicaldevice.com, where I will provide you with all those information or more details. And if you need any support for us to help you on this process also, so to help you to get certified, we can also be here and can also guide you or work for you on this kind of things. So I hope this episode helps you a lot for that, and I hope it clarifies a lot of questions. So thank you for that, and I wish you a nice day.